Alright, hello everybody. It is about time that I make a video on me reading my books. So today I'm going to start reading the first 5 chapters of my first book, and I'll probably post these bi-weekly. So this should be done around sometime in either April or early May. So we'll see. So yeah, I'm going to read these. Next year I'll do my second book, and then the year after that I'll do my third, etc., etc. So today we are starting on my first book ever written. So I'm just gonna get this out of the way now. Again, this is my first book, so and all of these are still subject for changes. They're not fully done, but yeah, I mean, it's my first book, so don't expect the most magnificently written thing in the history of the universe. But I think that's enough said. I don't want to waste enough of your time. I kind of want to treat this kind of like a audio book, so you can kind of just sit back and listen, and make sure to leave a comment, on if you like the book, what you think's gonna happen. Just literally comment anything. So yeah, I guess we should begin. Tales of Tiana. Chapter 1. The Beginning. Nyx's first memory was cries of pain and fear. She crawled over to her twin brother, who was only 5 at the time. Nyx hugged him, muffling his cries with her shoulder as the soldiers rampaged and destroyed what was once their home. They sat there, hidden only by a few tipped-over statues of their ancestors, for 5 hours. When the soldiers were finally done, leaving their town in ashes, Nyx slowly guided her brother out. There, the town lay dead. But it was their home, and at their home, they would stay. It was 5 years later, and Nyx was trying to find food with her brother. "Don't go that way," she told him. "There's traps, and you'll fall in." "So what? I have powers and you don't," he said. And just as he did, he let out a yelp of surprise, and Nyx turned to see him dangling in the air, suspended by a rope around his foot. "Uh-huh," Nyx said. "The power of getting caught. And plus, my thing is supposed to, activate after a while, I think." "Oh, shut up," he said, cutting the rope and falling down. "If you had actually looked, there's a marking on the trees they put traps on," Nyx said, pointing to a notch cut into the bark. "This was a trap for people. 2 dots are animals. So you would have been taken and used for whatever purpose they wanted." He continued walking with her, defeated. Nyx held the bag, now bulging with fruit, in front of her. "Think this is enough?" she asked. "Should be," he said. Suddenly, voices sounded in the distance. Nyx grabbed her brother's arm and ducked behind a bush, shoving him down with her. "What are we hiding from?" he began to whisper. "Hunting groups go in pairs of 10 or more," Nyx whispered. "You can't be hurt." "I'm just as powerful as you," he protested. "Shh, and no you're not. Remember the soul of the dragon? It went from Pa to me, and I can take more hits than you," Nyx said. "How do you even know they're bad guys?" he continued, beginning to ignore the fact the soldiers could hear him. "You say everyone's bad. You never even let me leave without you. You know what? I don't care. I don't care anymore." Nyx looked to the side to see a pair of soldiers walking towards their hiding spot hastily. Not good. "I say this with all the love I possibly can, brother." "Shut up," she whispered. "No," he said loudly, jumping up. "And I don't care about your gifts anymore." He threw down the fire opal blade Nyx had gotten out of the ashes for him, and she caught it before it shattered on a rock. "Hey, no, let go! Let go of me!" he began to scream as one of the soldiers carried him away. "Nyx, help me out here," was his last words that had been screamed at her, before the soldier put his hand over his mouth. Nyx snatched the blade out of its sheath and stabbed the soldier trying to get her. She snatched the blade out and ran as he crumpled to the ground. She chased after the soldiers, but they had her brother on a horse before she could even get close. Nyx fell to her knees, numb sadness spreading through every vein in her body. "They're gonna kill him," she thought hopelessly. "I let them get to him. I killed him." From that day on, Nyx only focused on searching for her brother. She took to wandering to different towns, camps, and other places until 2 years later, where she finally accepted he was gone. Nyx continued to wander, however, looking for the faces of her brother's kidnappers. She had grown numb to any human-like emotion, and was simply a husk of her former self, wandering the places her world had to offer. She had also grown to despise her birthday, considering it was indeed her brother's as well, and it only reminded her of her own failure. One particular event, a week after Nix had turned 16, she was wandering a particularly shady part of one of the towns she had yet to have checked. Nix was listening out for any commotion that might draw her, and as luck might just have had it, she could hear some noise being made in the alley, just in front of where she was walking. Nix walked into the alley and saw a boy, about her age probably, his blonde hair slightly spattered in blood and his green eyes fluttering in slight exhaustion. Wonder if he's gonna faint or something, Nix thought, watching at the entrance of the alley, her mind devoid of any empathy. He began to slump against the wall, and slowly the others began to take advantage of this, and after a few hits, one threw him to the ground, while the metal pipe he was holding was thrown and rolled about 10 feet in front of him. "Hey you," he shouted, her standing there. "Help me out here." Nix hesitated for only a second, remembering her brother's last words to her. Why do I have to do this, she thought, moving to get her brother's blade out of its sheath, only to discover it wouldn't budge. It's stuck, she cursed. Now that I think of it, I have nothing left to live for. Ha! Nix thought, and decided to go in without a weapon. She grabbed one of the smaller ones and threw him to the ground, kicking him square in the nose and probably knocking him out. Nix dodged one coming at her with a knife, twisting his arm and shoving his own blade into his heart, pushing him away as well. Nix snatched the other guy by the hair and banged his head into the wall 3 times before shoving him to the floor, and looked up to see the biggest guy advancing towards her, a knife in his hand. Nix was backing away when her foot bumped into something with a metallic thump. She looked down, saw the pipe, and kicked it across the floor to the guy on the ground, and he took it, getting up and swinging it to hit the other guy in the back of the head. Nix then twisted and shoved the guy advancing towards her, pushing him forwards. The guy that was once fallen on the ground, beaten and bruised, hit down on the guy's head with the pole, as his back was turned towards the both of them. As he slowly turned around, he threw the pole to land in Nix's hands. "She did it," he said, pointing to her. This dude, she thought. Nix didn't have time to say anything before the guy lunged towards her, and she whammed the pole into the side of his head, blood beginning to flow from his ears. He shoved the tip of the pole into his stomach, pushing him back and onto the ground. "Thanks," the boy said, holding the pole on the ground and putting his weight on it. "Mm-hmm," Nix said. "What's your name?" he asked. "Nix. You?" she asked. "Adton," he responded with a friendly smile. "Nice to meet you, Adton. Good luck with whatever you were doing here," she said, walking away. Nix remembered that day with some odd detail. She would remember it at random times, especially when she had nothing to think of. Like, for example, about 2 years after that very day, Nix had gotten into a rather nasty fight and had crawled onto a roof for safety after fatally stabbing her opponent. Then, right when she had least expected it, the roof broke beneath her, and she fell to the ground. Nix's calf, in result, had been punctured by a sharp metal spike that had been sticking out of the ground. So Nix had been sitting there, her back propped up on a wooden plank, staring at her leg for around 2 days, through both the rain and the freezing cold. She was beginning to accept her fate when she heard footsteps crunching on the leaves outside the shattered window that was beside her. "Who's there?" she called in a raspy, dry voice, putting her hand on her brother's blade. Suddenly, the footsteps quickened, and a face Nix recognized to be Adton's appeared behind the window, only visible by the moonlight. "Adton? Is that you?" she asked, squinting. "Nix?" he asked. "Yeah," she said. "What are you doing in there?" he asked. "I fell through the roof a couple days ago," she said, "and now I got a rod in my leg." "And you were just gonna lay there?" Adton asked, shoving his arm through the broken window pane and locking the window and crawling inside. "Yeah, probably," Nix said. "I got no family to live for," she thought, "so what's the point?" "How can I fix this?" he asked, kneeling. Nix pushed herself up and leaned on her arms. "Well, I need something to stop the bleeding, so a cloth and a stick so I could walk." "Anything to heal you?" Adton asked, snatching a piece of the torn curtains. "I heal fast on my own," Nix said. "So I'm gonna need you to give me the cloth. Just get a stick and help me walk after I do this." "Sure thing," Adton said. "But what are you going to—" Nix grabbed her foot before he finished talking, and he yanked it straight up. A gaping hole in her leg immediately started to bleed. She wrapped it up quickly with the rag and tied it tight a bit higher from the wound and looked up at Adton. "I'm going to need something if you want me to talk," Nix said. Right. Walk. My bad. Something to talk? Wait. I'm gonna need something if you want me to walk, Nick said. Right, Adton said, picking up a tree's branch that had fallen in the house. Nick stood, and Adton began to help her out of the house. Chapter 2. Trust. Adton carefully opens the door, and the crisp breeze outside rushes past us. It carries the earthy scent of fresh air, filling my lungs and bringing a momentary sense of relief. Leaves tumble and scatter across the ground, pushed along by the playful wind that shifts directions unpredictably. The sun hovers low in the sky, painting it in hues of orange and purple. It will be dark in a few hours. Should we just set up camp here and then head to Hyvalon? Adton asks, his face calm but expectant. I squint slightly, considering his suggestion. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Wait a second. It's not night yet. I don't know why I had that earlier in the chapter with the... Anyways, wow. Say the things you catch when you go through rereading. Anyways, wait, where the hell was I at? Oh, yeah. Should we just set up camp out here and then head to Hyvalon? Adton asks, his voice calm but expectant. I squint slightly, considering his suggestion. I'm not sure if that's a good idea. Why not? I'd figured you'd want to head to the nearest kingdom, he replies, tilting his head with a confused expression. It's not that, I explain, taking a small step back. Spending the night out here? With you? No offense, but that's a little weird. I barely know you. Adton gives a slight chuckle and nods. Fair point. But why did you come out here alone? His tone is genuine, but the question feels intrusive. I avoid his gaze and shift my weight. That doesn't matter. I just need to get back to my home. He folds his arms, leaning slightly to one side. Where's home? Rendor, I say hesitantly, bracing for his reaction. Adton's face shifts, the playful smugness replaced with concern. Wasn't that town destroyed years ago? We should start setting up camp, I interject, dodging the question. In the dwindling hours of daylight, we manage to prepare a campsite. A modest fire crackles between us, and Adton graciously shares some food and water. By the time night falls, I notice my leg doesn't throb as much as it did before. Lying on the ground, I stare up at the sky. The stars shimmer like scattered diamonds, and the sounds of crickets mingles with the rustling leaves. It's been so long since I've taken a moment to admire the sky. This feels almost peaceful. Then it starts. A chill snakes down my spine and my heartbeat quickens. My brother's voice echoes in my mind, calling out for me. Help me, Nix! His cry rings out, vivid and piercing. Memories flood in, unbidden. Fear in his eyes. Soldiers dragging him away through the forest. The acrid smell of fire and a cacophony of screams. My chest tightens as I try to breathe, but the air feels heavy. My body won't move. My vision blurs and darkens as my mind spirals. I see the shadow of a soldier approaching, sword gleaming ominously in his hand. Pain and anguish overwhelm me. The familiar markings of traps carved into tree trunks flash in my mind, followed by a fleeting glimpse of the sky. Suddenly, a dark figure charges towards me. Nix! The voice cuts through the chaos. I'm grabbed and pulled back, and then I look down at the ground that is covered in ash. Faces of the dead stare up at me with expressions of pain and betrayal. Nix! Adton's voice pierces through the haze, pulling me back to reality. I gasp, my chest heaving as I struggle to catch my breath. My heart pounds in my ears. Adton kneels beside me, his face etched with concern. Thank you for snapping me out of that, I managed to say, my voice weak and shaky. Are you okay? He asks, his tone soft, yet insistent. I am now, I reply, taking slow, deliberate breaths, just memory from my past. Adton hesitates, but nods. If you need anything, let me know. He stands and walks a few steps away, giving me space. As Adton walks away, he glances at me with a look of concern and curiosity as he's forcing himself not to ask me about it more. I roll over and close my eyes, the sounds of nature soothing my frayed nerves. Despite my doubts, I trust him enough to sleep. Slowly, sleep takes me. Darkness envelops me. A faint purple glow emerges in the distance, and lightning crackles across the void. I move toward the light, each step deliberate and cautious. As I approach, the glow intensifies, revealing a sword hovering midair. Its black metal blade is engraved with the word dragon in my family's ancient language. The hilt bears our crest, a painful reminder of what I've lost. The closer I get, the heavier the air becomes. Shadows swirl around me, forming faint whispers that grow louder with each step. Voices call my name, familiar yet distorted, blending together into an ominous chant. The lightning intensifies, illuminating fleeting images of my family. My mother's gentle smile, my father's stern gaze, and my brother's wide, fearful eyes. The images shift and shatter like glass, leaving me standing alone in the dark. When I finally reach the sword, the ground beneath me crumbles, and I am plunged into a void. The sword remains within reach, its glow unwavering. I grab the hilt, and the surge of energy courses through me, burning yet empowering. The whispers turn into screams, and the darkness splits open, revealing a battlefield. I am standing in the midst of chaos, soldiers clashing, fire consuming everything in its path. The sword in my hand feels alive, vibrating with an unspoken power. I raise it instinctively, and a burst of purple energy radiates from the blade, pushing back the darkness momentarily. The battlefield fades, replaced by the haunting image of Rendor in ruins. Ash falls like snow, coating the skeletal remains of buildings. Faces of the dead appear again, their hollow eyes fixed on me. My brother's voice rises above the din, pleading, "Help me, Nix!" Before I can respond, the ground beneath me gives way, and I am falling once more. The sword slips from my grasp, its light fading as I plummet into the abyss. Just as the darkness consumes me, a faint light appears in the distance. A figure reaches out, their hand glowing with the same purple energy as the sword. I reach for them, desperate for salvation. And the moment our hands touch, I then wake up to the sound of the wind blowing the leaves on the trees. A blanket is draped over me. Blinking in the soft light of dawn, I sit up and spot Adton nearby, keeping watch. One of his swords is planted firmly in the ground, and he leans against it, gazing into the distance. Intrigued, I noticed intricate lightning patterns etched along the blade's surface, shimmering faintly in the morning light. I carefully check my leg, peeling back the cloth. It's almost fully healed. I quickly cover it again, not wanting to draw attention. "Where did you get those swords?" I ask, breaking the silence. I don't remember seeing them before. Adton glances at me, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. "Let's just say I knew someone," he replies. "How did you sleep?" "Pretty well, actually. Thanks." I stretch and begin packing up the campsite. I should start heading to Rendor. Adton nods, sheathing his sword. "Do you know the way?" "I do," I assure him. "It's north. I can find the path." Adton hesitates. "You don't have to go alone." "I'll come with you." The sincerity catches me off guard. "Thank you," I say softly. "But I don't think it's a good idea." Adton looks towards the ground as he begins to say, "I don't really have anyone else to travel with." His voice sounds sad, while also trying to keep his light-hearted, joyous tone. I look at him for a few seconds as I begin to come to a decision. I hardly know this guy, but he doesn't seem like a threat. "Fine," I say reluctantly. As we travel, doubts creep in. Why am I letting him come with me? Trust doesn't come easily, but something about him feels genuine. Could I have feelings for him? I shake the thought away. There are more pressing matters. That evening, we set up camp again, this time just outside the remnants of Rendor. The conversation flows easily, and I find myself lowering my guard. "You didn't have to come," I admit, guilt tinging my voice. "And maybe I shouldn't have let you," Adton smirks. "You're probably right. Honestly, I'm not sure why I decided to tag along." I meet his gaze, deciding to comfort the unspoken tension. "Did you only come because you like me?" He averts his eyes, his hands fidgeting slightly. "Yes," he says after a pause, his voice steady. "But I also want to make sure you're okay." A small smile tugs at my lips. "When we get to Rendor, keep your distance, okay?" Adton's confident expression doesn't waver. "Okay." We extinguish the fire and settle down for the night. My thoughts churn as I drift to sleep. He can't find out about my powers. My life depends on it. And that's it for today. I decided to only do 2 chapters. I know I said I was going to do 5, but, while I was reading this, I was like, I don't know if people are going to sit here for like 45 minutes as I do multiple chapters. So I guess I'm going to do a little bit of commentary. So after I'm done reading these, I think I'm going to do some commentary. Yeah, I love that mistake where I was like, wait a minute. My face is illuminated by the moonlight, and then they step out of the house, and it's apparently starting to become night. I'm like, wait, that doesn't make sense. So I'm glad I caught that while rereading this. I'm surprised I went through editing twice and didn't catch that, but man, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, like I said, this is my first written book, first book I've written, so there's a lot of things. So I guess let me kind of explain some of the things. So if we go back to chapter 1, the beginning. I don't know, like this was pretty interesting, because I actually didn't write chapter 1. My friend Nicole wrote chapter 1 like many years ago, back whenever we were planning this and we were still talking. I don't know, like originally I was wanting it to be from Adton's perspective. I actually wanted all these books to be Adton's perspective, but we're getting this through Nyx's perspective, just because she wrote. I literally asked her, I was like, hey, could you just write a backstory? Like I was thinking it was going to be like some kind of outline for a backstory, but she actually wrote like pretty much an entire like thing, and I was like, wait, I could actually just use this as chapter 1, and then here it is. And I'm glad I did, because looking back on it, I kind of really like the idea of you getting this story through Nyx's perspective, because I think it makes things like a lot. I don't know, like I just really like it. I think I like it better than Adton, because I think Adton kind of works more as like a comedic side character while also being a very prominent character. Like I guess he's not a side character per se. I mean, you'll figure this out later, but yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like the story kind of is better told through Nyx's perspective, so it's kind of why I decided to keep that in here. And obviously, you're kind of getting thrown right into the swing of things. You're getting just dropped right in with Nyx's home, Rendor, getting destroyed by an army of sorts. She essentially blames herself for the reason why her brother was taken and killed. So you get all of this. The only thing I'm probably going to have to add some more. There is going to be a little bit more. So you're going to see her trying to deal with this throughout this book. So you guys might be interested to see how kind of this happens. But now I'm kind of curious on Adton, because I wonder what you guys think of Adton. Because Adton is kind of, I'm not going to lie, in 2 chapters, you're kind of starting to get to see that Adton might be a little bit of a meme character. Just a little bit. He's still a serious character, but yeah, I mean, just the way he talks is a lot more, playful. I mean, right here, just playful smugness. Yeah, I really like Adton. Adton is probably, well, honestly, I like every character. I mean, I came up with all these characters, so I thought it was pretty interesting. But yeah, the dream sequence. The dream sequence was interesting to do, because I had so many different like ideas for what I wanted the dream sequence to be, and it was kind of just, I don't know, this is the one I kind of stuck with like her sword, and like she's kind of getting dropped in. So she's yeah, I thought this was a great start to the book. I just thought it was interesting. And obviously we have this thing of like, wait, do I have feelings for him? Ain't no way. I think he has feelings for me, because why else would this random dude tag along? And he doesn't seem to be having bad intentions for now. We will see in later chapters if that's the case or not. But yeah, so we got Adton, this random guy she helped like in this random alleyway, and then I definitely need to go back through and kind of fix some of the fight scene, because it's kind of like there was a part where it's like so hard to tell who's who, because it just says the guy. Like I really need to go back through and redo this fight scene. This is like the worst like fight scene that I've ever written. And granted, I've already finished this in the second book. I'm working on the third one right now. Yeah, this is this beginning with like the fight in the alley is like the worst fight I've ever written. Again, like I started these chapters while I was still in high school, and I didn't finish my first book until my freshman year of college. So this first book, you're gonna tell there's like jumps in quality of how good the writing is, because like I would not cover this for months, and then I'd get back to it and just start writing. So yeah, I mean, definitely if you catch anything, let me know, because again, I'm still kind of going through and editing this. This is the beta version. It's not like fully done. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of curious what you guys are thinking so far, where you think the story's gonna go. Why am I scrolling that far? You guys are just gonna pause and get to read the first page. But yeah, I'll do chapter 3 and 4 tomorrow, maybe 5. Like, I don't know, I'm just gonna do enough chapters, and I'll try not to get 1, but I'm gonna try to do 2 a day at least. Maybe 3 if there's some shorter chapters, because there are some pretty short chapters in like the midway section of this book. But yeah, I mean, I hope you guys are having a good day. Again, this is going to be a bi-weekly thing, so every 2 weeks I'll post more readings of this. And hey, if there's an artist, if anybody who's magically seeing this, there's probably only gonna be like 15 people seeing this. So if any of you is like a digital artist, let me know, because I need somebody to do the cover of this book, of all my books actually. So that would be greatly appreciated. I am looking for artists, so I don't have to like rely on AI art, because I don't want to use AI art for this. I mean, I've used AI art for concepting. That's really about it. I don't want to use it for anything official. So yeah, just let me know. But yeah, hopefully you guys end up enjoying this book series, because man, I've spent so many years planning this out. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. But yeah, in the meantime, have a nice day, guys. And if you're planning on tagging along in 2 weeks, I'll see you in 2 weeks. If you don't like this, fair enough. I'll see you later. Make sure to subscribe and hit notifications if you want to see more, because that's really the only way you're going to find out when I post the next thing. So, later.